Okay, there you are. So I was saying that my experience with meditation is that a lot of times it becomes another activity, another task, homework, and meditation is supposed to be completely the opposite. It's supposed to be a time where you let go of all your activities and chill with whatever's going on. Um, so, and by that process, you deepen your experience of your inner self. And when you do that, when you get a deeper sense of your inner self, some magic happens. So you might get a different insight as to who you are, or who you think you are, and who you are. And that might open up some space so that you're not too attached to your person, which is a good thing actually, because then when you're not attached to your person, then your person or your can evolve and change and be sick and be healthy and be lazy and be perky and be all the different things that it wants to be. And without a sense of I shouldn't or I must or which is usually what the constraint of a concept that we carry with ourselves from very early, that this is who I am, or this is who I want people to see me like, or this is who I would be happy to be, right? So it's a complicated set of thoughts that most of them are already, I would say, unconscious. But when you meditate, those things come to focus. And you can start to kind of like have a sense of humor as to, oh my God, can't believe I'm doing that. I can't believe that, that this is the way things are. And so that will create some space in your mind to be able to do things without attachment. And then things that you do are a lot more pleasurable. And there's a sense of wellness in all your activities. And I think we all have a good experience of that. But I just wanted to start by kind of like framing what we're going to talk about. And there's different reasons why we meditate. So whatever the reason is also transient. It's not a fixed thing. It might be this reason right now, because that's what I need, but it might be a different reason later. So, just knowing which one is it right now is very helpful. So I started meditating about 20 something years. And I do my main practice, and this is a term that is used a lot, is my main practice right now is, because like I said, it will continue changing, my main practice right now is what it's called a tantric practice, where there is visualizations and mantras and some rituals that perhaps are not what we mostly associate with meditation, but it's a meditation right now. Doesn't mean that it will be forever. And so, but it always starts with what we normally call meditation, which is just calming the mind and bringing to the present moment. And and then at the end, it usually ends with something positive and something that of gratitude, um, kindness, some elevating some qualities of humanity that will that are focused towards others, and sort of with an aspiration quality. So then my mind, the mind can perk up with something positive for the day. Um, so I'm curious if maybe we can go around the group. You can talk a little bit about your meditation or your lack of meditation or your desired meditation or you simply your interest in talking about it. So I'm going to go through the screens and I have Tara to my left. So oh, sorry, maybe you can't unlock. There you go. You are there, Tara.
Oh, now I'm unmuted? Okay. So you put me on first.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hi everyone, I'm Tara. I think we all know each other now, or most of us do. And my meditation practice started in my 20s. And I used to volunteer at the North London Buddhist Centre. I had met a British thug who had like recanted and turned into a Buddhist monk. And he was my yoga teacher, but he also introduced me into meditation. And I think, because it was the Buddhist center, it was very structured meditation, a bit like what you were saying, Carlos, almost tantric with the rituals and focus and metta and all of those things. But that was a long time ago. And then I think as my life has progressed, it has changed very much for me now. I think I live in my head a lot, and some of those intrinsic meditation practices are there in my life because I have so many thoughts in my head all the time that I've learned to acknowledge, let go, on just a day-to-day, everyday time basis. But also I find that if I sit down and try and do, meditation, as in sitting down, really focusing, calming, I find that really difficult these days. So my meditation has evolved within my yoga practice now. And I find if I get the yoga practice just right, it becomes like a moving meditation. It allows the mind to go into stillness and you're working with the breath and the body, union, yoga. And that's how it is for me now. And I think it's rare, but it happens enough now that one of the reasons I cultivate a regular yoga practice is because of the way it stills my mind and the way it allows me to just focus on the breath and do it that way. Yeah.
Thank you, Tara. I have Francisco.
I think all of us practice meditation when we're young in some form or another. My first, I had a lot of abuse in my house when I was a kid, and I would go to the tree, and I would actually sit down and talk to this one tree, and like sit by the tree, and that brought me a lot of calm. It was an olive tree, and I recall that. I think about that moment a lot. I think when we're young, we're very clear and very wise, and it's kind of, we want to maintain that wisdom as we go older, and not lose it. Um, so that was my first kind of encounter with meditation. And then when I immigrated to the States, my neighborhood was kind of like, there's a lot of fighting going on. And I broke my hand in a fight. I was like a 13-year-old kid just trying to defend himself. And so I broke my hand, and I started reading a book on Zen meditation by Bruce Lee. And he would visualize construction workers with the hard hats and everything in their machines, cleaning his bones whenever he would break something. So I started doing visualization, and visualize these little construction people, like they were kind of fat and they had the little hats, and they would be kind of with all the machines cleaning the bones. Um, so that was, another kind of experience I recall with meditation. And I agree with Tara, like I really like to practice yoga, asana practice, very intentional with breath. Like going into a certain posture for 2 full breaths. And that's why I like that mantra, so hum, because it's very connected to the breath with the inhale and the exhale. And I feel like doing that, it's like I just go on a nice journey into myself, because it's not very fast, and it helps kind of ease the fluctuations of the mind. Yeah.
Thanks, Francisco. Now Dante. Hold on. There you go. Dante can't hear you. All right. Emily?
Sure. Yeah, I agree with what you mentioned, Carlos, that sometimes it feels that meditation is another activity that you need to perform, and you need to put it on your schedule, and it's like something that you need to achieve and be good at. I felt that many times. But so now I've been doing meditations for many years, and I have very, very strong teachers that have been helping me a lot, sharing their kind of experiences. And so I've tried many different techniques in meditation, which gives me a lot of joy, because now I have many ways of meditating. Like it can be counting my blessings, or invoking just a stronger vibration to send out, like you mentioned, or even remembering things from my childhood, like rearranging my memory a little bit, trying to focus more on the positive memories than the kind of negative ones that were also there. And the good ones get clouded a little bit. So it strengthens me a lot to go back in my memory in a way. I don't do that very often now. So now it's more, I feel when I do meditate that I get more time and space. I live a very active life, and I get stuck in that sometimes. I just keep running along, and I'm the kind of yes person that always says yes to people, although I'm very introvert and I like to spend time alone. And so I guess I just need both, because I'm also kind of adventurous anyway. So when I do take time to meditate, all of a sudden I feel like I have so much more time. I'm not stressed. I can do all the things that I want to do, which I believe is connected to me getting more intuitive. So I go towards the things that I really actually, my heart is telling me to go towards, or that I really feel good about. So yeah, it brings me a lot of joy. I feel like I'm almost smiling all the time, every day, which is a blessing. And I do it a lot connected to my yoga practice, like Francisco and Tara mentioned. In the practice, when I practice myself, I concentrate deeply, and this is really nice feeling. And also afterwards, so that's more natural also to sit after a yoga practice or asana practice. And yeah, I like to meditate outside to hear the whole world just around me. And then I feel very centered and I can see myself sitting there. And that's a nice way also. Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. It's great. And mm, mm, is Dante there? For some reason, I cannot unmute Dante. Um, Kai? Kai?
I'm just kidding.
Hi. Um,
Hi, Kai.
hi, how are you all? Excuse me for all the moving around and the video on and off. We're having a little work done in the kitchen, so I've got to
No
pop in and out.
worries. No worries. Where are you?
I'm at home.
Which city?
So I'm in Maryland, so Bowie,
Oh,
Maryland, right
good,
outside of
good,
Washington,
good.
D.C.
Oh,
And
good.
first, let me thank you all for inviting me into the community. I've gained a lot just in the couple of weeks that I've been able to be a part of this. It has been awesome. So in tandem with the yoga that I've begun doing with Dante, this is helping a lot. From the last meditation session, I'm still going to work. I'm fortunate to be able to still go to work, but it is definitely high stress, you know, given the circumstances that we find ourselves in. So the meditation has definitely helped, you know, bring me down and to be able to go into the office with a light load instead of heavy. So that's been very great. I've tried to do meditation on my own in the past. I have found that the guided meditation that we're doing with you, Carlos, definitely keeps me more focused, you know, in controlling my breath. My mind doesn't wander as much. So that has definitely been great too. But yeah, I'm definitely looking to the benefits that I would like to get out of it is just connecting more with myself. Got crazy life, got two little boys. I don't know if you guys saw them initially, just like on my back the whole time. I turned off my video so it wouldn't distract anybody, but that's my life. It's wonderful, it's great. But just connecting before I go into the office and before I come home, centering myself so that I can be the best for them at all times and just be a better person overall.
That's great. Thank you, Kai.
Thank you all.
And uh, Gary.
Hello, Carrie here. So I've
Gary's in
meditated.
California.
Yes, California. It's Saturday morning and it's beautiful here today. So I'm super happy that it's sunny today. So I've been practicing meditation on and off for probably a lot of years. In my teenage years, I grew up in the Bay Area, and so there was a lot of it was the end of the hippie era, you know, in the 70s. And so there was lots of talk about meditation and TM. And so I dabbled and practiced here and there. I was never really consistent, probably until I started practicing yoga, and kind of like Tara and Francisco and some of the others were talking about, is tying breath to the movement. And I know in my yoga practice, initially, that was a struggle. I would push and push and push. And over the years, I've learned just to breathe in. And that was really my meditation for a long time. And then it just didn't seem like enough. So I've been practicing just trying to sit in stillness, which I really struggle with. But I find if I'm feeling agitated, just to sit and quiet my mind and go in is one of the most helpful things for me to do, even if it's just for 10 minutes. And then I also use sound as well. So I do balancing the chakras every day with either sound bowls or tuning forks. And at the end of that, I have the opportunity just to sit very quietly. And for some reason, that puts me in a physical state that I can sit for a bit longer. So that's my practice. And really, what I'm hoping is just to continue that going in and just being present for however long I can be there, which is not a super long time unless I'm in an asana practice right now.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. Lisa.
Hi everyone, sorry I'm late.
No.
I'm in Nairobi, yeah, a lot of what people have said has resonated with me. I have been practicing yoga for a long time, so I think a lot of my meditation practice is linked very much to asana. I have practiced with a Buddhist teacher. I did that for some years, and tantric and all, but it didn't really set. Yeah, even right now, so we go through different periods and phases in our life. I've been in Nairobi now for 5 years, and it seems in the last couple of years it's been really, really difficult. Meditation's been very, very difficult. The monkey mind is going quite a lot. So again, I find that my meditation, when my quiet time, I can be quiet when I really feel the emotions going. I can sit for a few minutes. It really can't go much beyond 7 or 9 minutes. I get very agitated. But the one place that I do, when I was going to an office, I got into a practice of taking a warm bath in the morning and doing a mindfulness meditation on my day, and visualizing my day and what I had to do and what I had to, I've been dealing with a lot of emotional stuff and challenging people issues at work. And so I don't know, something about being in the warm bath made it easier for me. I wasn't feeling that monkey mind as much. It wasn't meditation, but it was more like a visualization on my day. But we did a 21-day challenge with Salim a couple of months ago. I think it was February. And even then I found myself, it was great because it was guided and, I felt like I was doing with other people. So I was accountable. But even like just beyond 7 minutes was really starting to be a struggle for me. So yeah, I try to just, be okay with myself. Maybe in a different time of life, it will be easier, and just really to appreciate the yoga practice that I'm doing now in this group almost every day. And I can sit a little bit longer at the end of a yoga practice and just, be present. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Victor.
I started my meditation 7 years ago. I was introduced to spiritual meditation and awareness by a priest from the UK. And at that time, I was a performing artist. I was performing a lot, and I was a bit popular. So he thought I needed something to help calm me down, and it really worked well for me. And in the beginning, it was quite intimidating because I was getting deep into myself, and at that time, I didn't really want to face the things that I was getting into while meditating. But over time, it really worked for me because even at that time, I was still a social worker and street social worker here in Kibera because I had resigned with the work that I was doing. And so I was dealing with a lot of issues from my students, and they were really heavy issues. So then I realized that this was really helping me over time. And I incorporated it into my, I wasn't doing it more often, but at least twice a week I was doing it. And I realized that it was really, really helping me. And it's something that I've loved over time. I've also realized that with meditation, I'm more aware of what I can be able to do and what I shouldn't be able to do as a break dancer. And like for us breakdancers, most of us are into drugs to avoid pain in their body or even injuries. But I realized with meditation, I've been able to calm down and just realize what my body is able to do during performance or during workshops. And I really like it a lot. I also got into body wellness and healing. And I realized when Francisca was here and was doing the Thai massage training, I realized that with meditation, I'm able to know which part of my body exactly needs healing. So I really like it a lot, and I'm really happy to be part of this team. And today I was joined with one of my youngest students, Neville. Gonna say something?
How are you? My name is Neville. I started medication today with Vic.
Oh, hey, Nabil.
Huh?
You dancer too?
Yeah.
Nice. I've seen you dance, man. I remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Gotta teach me some moves over here in Washington, D.C., bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dante, do you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I kind of dabbled with meditation, probably starting after my college years. What's interesting is that you come into meditation sometimes through some of the most hardest times. Sometimes like our hardest times are like a breakup or something along those lines. My mom used to say things to me like, she used to play this song, and it used to be called Peace Be Still. It's a religious song, but the words were more about like being still. The waters are gonna still come to the shore. They're gonna still hit the rocks, but be still. Like over this time, I realized just being a little bit more still had huge effects. It had huge effects on my emotions. It had huge effects on things. I got through yoga. I came to yoga through the asanas of just wanting to touch my toes and do a lot of those things. And I think yoga kind of introduces you through that process of, asanas and things. And then I started like really going through it. One day I went to go see a chiropractor who's also an Ayurvedic practitioner, and he recommended like, hey, read Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and his translations of like the Bhagavad Gita, and as you can see, it's like born down, like like I really worked on that thing, and highlighted and really came into like really understanding it a little bit more. If no one knows who Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is, he actually is one of like the founders of like TM, Transcendental Meditation. And then I just started like, the Buddha brain and the neuroscience behind it and all these different things. And actually going through the process, especially being more consistent with you, Carlos, in this process, has been, it's been pretty really, like I can feel the curve change within my body, within my mind. It has been actually something that I don't think there's no type of external, there's nothing external that can come in that can give you that feeling, There's no relationship, no physical touch, there's no anything from the external world really can't give you that same effect that you have through meditation. And to guide through that, because we do have, I believe, Lisa or someone had mentioned like the monkey mind, because it's always at work. It's always at work. And being able to go inside and connect something as simple as just breathing and being aware of your breath, it has definitely hit some tissues and some nerves within my body that is much more deeper than what I expected. But it's cool also to see the science behind it, to also see like this is something that they've been doing for ages, and to still have that no matter what the race, creed, color, gender, whatever it is, that we all are part of like that human race, and it's almost mandatory that we practice that way. So I really appreciate it. Thanks for letting me share, everyone.
Thank you, Dante. In Caitlin? Caitlin, are you able to share? Oh, there you.
Did you call on someone?
Yeah, Caitlin.
Oh, Kate, yeah. So Kate's a nurse here in Philadelphia. She's been working in a hospital here. Kate, do you want to say something?
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute it.
You're
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm sort of an idiot with
We can hear
technology. I apologize. I was paying attention. I don't know what to share, honestly. I just feel sort of weird.
Well, don't worry, you are weird, and so are we. Yeah. Especially Dante, he's the weirdest. I'm just kidding. Carlos, Kate came in a little late, so maybe Carlos, you can kind of communicate.
Yeah.
The question.
Yeah. Yeah, Kate. I'd love to customize what I'm going to talk. So I'm trying to get a sense of where everybody is in terms of do they meditate? How often? Is it difficult? You know, what's your experience with it?
Yeah, like I try to meditate for at least 5 to 10 minutes a day. I work as a nurse now, so my schedule's sort of hectic, and I probably don't do it as much as I should. But yeah, I find it really helpful when I actually make the time for it, but I'm not always great at making the time for it. So
Great. Well, that gives me a lot to work with, guys. The thing that I try to do is to not talk to nobody, but talk to where you are and what your needs are. And there's several thoughts that come to mind. So I'll try to weave together a story here. And perhaps I should start by meditation starts way before. So it's very difficult to think about meditation without talking about the Hindus and the Buddhists and Bong. And I'm sure in Africa there are very old traditions that probably also had meditation in the same way that in South America we have a lot of tribes that meditated, and Native Americans meditated. So back in the days when the world was a lot simpler, people used to meditate. There was a sense that we all got sick and we all will die, and we will all have difficult times in our lives, and there has to be something better, or there has to be something deeper than accomplishing things, So there's a point in life where we started to make more complex decisions. And I want to say many people have different theories, but my theory is that progress, the concept of progress, um, through a wrench at the inner path to happiness. All of the sudden with industrial revolution and there's just the concept that, you know, progress is good, you know, through made things that you had to do things to accomplish things, and those things will be the base for your next accomplishment and so forth. And that somehow by doing that, you attained happiness. But after years of doing that, you can tell that it hasn't really worked out. You know, even if you accomplish, the most accomplished person in the world is still very unhappy. It's not satisfied. So, you know, but there's always something else that you can do. So the, you know, I think the American dream is one of those, you know, big lies that, that, you know, keep the fire for this type of thinking, that if we do things, happiness will come to us. But what they learned early on is that you still were suffering when you did that. You still had difficulty. And it's not unusual nowadays that people who are come to yoga or meditation are people who come from having a difficult situation, you know, some sort of suffering, trauma, or it doesn't have to be super dramatic, but it could be just a very uncomfortable state of mind in your life. So, you know, my teacher says that many people come to meditate and they will be very engaged, and then all of a sudden they will disappear. And after a while, they will reappear. And my teacher will always say, "What happened? You broke up?" You know, you fell in love, and then you broke up, and then you came back. You know, and sort of that's a theme. You know, our meditation changes depending on if we are very happy and very, I want to say successful, or a lot of things are going on in our lives that feel good, uh, meditation tends to go down. And when things are not going as good, and there's a change, then meditation seems to go up again. Of course, this is just overall patterns. You know, it's not the same for everyone. But so what is the relationship between meditation and what we call suffering? I don't like the word suffering perhaps because it entails that it's a negative thing. And when I talk about suffering, I'm talking about having a lot of good things and being afraid that you're not going to have them in the next days or years. So when you get something very good, you start to suffer immediately because you're afraid to lose it. You know, one example that I've heard that I like a lot is, you know, it's like you go to a museum, you see this beautiful painting, and you really would like to have it. There you start to get a little suffering. And let's say you get the painting, now you're super happy, you take it home, you put it in the nicest place, and you start inviting friends, and then you realize, oh my God, somebody's going to steal my painting. I got to put insurance to the painting. Oh, I cannot travel because if I travel, who's going to take care of the painting, right? So all of a sudden, the thing that was supposed to bring you joy is your worst enemy, right? So suffering comes in very different and subtle ways. And so having what we call temporary happiness is also the source of suffering. Um, so anyway, so that's the relationship between suffering and meditation. People come to meditate because they want to find a way to switch from looking for happiness outside to looking for not happiness, I want to say contentment is more of a good word. You know, when you're satisfied with what you have or what you don't have, you're happy. It's the constant dissatisfaction with what we have that leads to suffering. So if you, when we meditate, the practice of being okay with whatever is going on is the practice of contentment. You're starting to develop the sense of being okay. Oh, I have anxiety. It's okay. I feel energized. I want to accomplish a lot. You know, my mind is going and going, and you know that's okay too. You know, getting a sense of okayness with what's going on is your meditation. So another thing that I heard you talk about is this sense of there's a good meditation and a bad meditation. That's a very typical, you know, thing that we all struggle with. I had a really good meditation. You know, it's like the painting. Now that you had a really good meditation, now every other meditation that you have, it's going to be measured against the good one that you had that day when you were doing it with Carlos. You know, so now when I do it by myself, it's not going to be as good because I'm measuring it up against that one. So that becomes like the painting. It becomes your enemy. Yeah. So there's value to having guided meditation for sure. And there's great value on having guided meditation, and it's much better if it's group meditation. The reason for that is that there is more than one mind in the space that are trying to accomplish something together. So even if you're meditating with one other person, it already makes it better than if you're meditating by yourself, because both minds will be connected towards one goal. You know? So a lot of times when we start meditating in our group, we start by making a connection with our motivation, our aspiration. What do we want to accomplish in this session? You know, and it's very helpful to hear you talk about your intentions and why you know you want to, because it helps you clarify your own intention as well. And it's good to be very clear about your intention, because when your meditations start to have difficult and bumpy roads, to being able to have a clear intention will help you to come back to it. So I like to write it down, you know, and keep it somewhere where when I'm starting to have difficulties, I can go and pull it out and just read it. And that grounds me back into, oh, that's why. Because I know that if I get very busy and I'm very successful, there's going to be a moment where that is going to end and I'm going to come down crashing. So it's better if I have a foundation to support myself because things are not going to be great all the time. Um, so whatever is your intention, it's good to have it clarified and written down so that you can always go back to it. And of course, your intention will be changing. So every now and then it's good to revise it. So intention is what keeps us from veering away and keeping it fresh. We talk
Hey,
about monkey mind. Yes.
hey, Carlos. So when we talk about intention, how do you notice where intention meets ego, right? Do
Uh-huh.
you like over like a consistent practice? Do you find that intentions are because initially when you first start in meditation, intention can be so closely tied to ego, like, you know, oh, I want this to happen, or I want that to happen. Do you find that intention should be more clear in gratitude, or do you find it that it grows through your meditation practice on what your intention is? What do you find happens in that journey of meditation?
That's a great question, Dante. It keeps on changing. You know, I always think that it's better to have an ego-based intention for meditating than to have an ego-based intention for being mean. You know, so whatever is, you know, ego, we tend to make a villain out of the ego, and you know that's another obstacle because ego is there. You know? So it's better to befriend your ego than to start a war with your ego because you will lose. You know, and then you get like on top of that, you get disappointed, depressed, and all of that. So it's much better to like have a sense of humor with your ego. You know, oh, there it is. You know, and we all have different characteristics and you know aspects of our ego that we don't like, and there's some that we like. So so it's better to start meditating because you want to be successful in life, make a lot of money, you know, that, and then that will be changing because once you realize that it's giving you some of that, but that's not enough, then you would move into the next level, you know, of trying to find happiness within you, right? And then you will go into that area that you talked about, where you get this, I want to say like cloud nine, you know, beyond concept experience. You know, it's a little bit like getting a high, a natural high, which is great because that is going to be the foundation for the next level. You know, so each of these stages are sort of important. It's like steps you're taking, you know, and each of us will find ourselves at our entry point might be in a different step. And that's the way it should be because we all have different lives. We all have different journeys. So, you know, there's not everybody has to go through step one. Yeah, and my step one is going to be different from everybody else. So comparing, I usually say compare and despair. You know, there's nobody that I know that will compare and feel good about it. You know, when you compare with somebody, it immediately will throw you into I could be better, or there's something I'm not doing, or you know. So it's very important to recognize that that's also an obstacle. Um, does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely, yeah, you opened that up for me. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll give you some phrases here and there, but there's one that works. It says, trying to succeed, we fail to try. Not trying, we fail. And it's for me, it's a really great phrase for these wanting to make it good. Wanting, you know, when you try to succeed on meditation, that becomes an obstacle because success is not the purpose. You know, success is the obstacle. Really, meditation is about trying, not about accomplishing. And if you can shift your attention from a goal-oriented meditation to a meditation that is about trying, then you realize that trying is the actual meditation. You know, that's exactly what it is. So having a meditation that's not great, but that's what it is, that's a good meditation. You know, I had a meditation that was uncomfortable. I noticed that I wanted it to be different. You know, I've gained some insight. So that is a good thing, right? So
So,
I'll repeat.
Carlos,
Yeah.
that sounds a lot like a yoga practice as well. Is it doesn't really matter. It just matters that you're practicing and you're present in your body in the very moment. So it doesn't matter how deep you went or if you had to back off because you had an injury. It just matters that you're practicing and you're present. So it sounds like that's very similar.
Yeah. I mean, yoga and meditation, I mean, this is a question that I hear a lot also is like people that come to meditate, they say, well, I've done yoga, you know, or the other way. People who start yoga say, well, I've meditated, you know, and sometimes there's a confusion as to, you know, one is one thing and the other is another thing. And I usually say it's, you know, it's the same objective or it's a different technique to get to the same place of insight, right? And so either you start with meditation and then go into movement, or you go from movement to meditation. So it's just two different ways to approach uh, um, a similar state of insight. Um,
Great, thank you.
yeah, there's many techniques, but all meditations fall into two categories. So one is about calming the monkey mind, and the other one is called insight, or you can say looking and you know, penetrating wisdom. So you need to have a calm mind to be able to penetrate wisdom. So calming the mind is it's a critical um, meditation. I would say 90% of all the meditations are about calming the mind because you need it to be able to go to insight. Okay. Also, calming the mind and compassion and kindness and all of that is very connected, because when you are kind, a natural sense of calmness arises. And from that calmness is like same as if you started with a crazy selfish mind that you're trying to calm down, right? It's a different method. So sometimes if you have a very, you get up in the morning and your mind is, you know, you woke up with these intense dreams of low self-esteem, and things are going to go bad for me today, and you know, I'm not where I should be in my life, and you know, it gets very confusing morning mind. I always try to think, before you sit to meditate, try to do something kind. You know, go and feed the cat, and don't just do it like that. You know, just do it, and be with it, take the time to be with somebody else. Um, or go outside and, not now, but go outside and, you know, smile at somebody, find out about somebody else, get yourself out of yourself, you know, and that's a great hack for clearing the mind so that you can go deeper. Um, so So one of the myths about meditation is that it is to feel good, right? So meditation is not necessarily supposed to feel good. I would say that most of the time it doesn't feel good, but there will be a moment where it feels really good, and that counts for all the other times that it didn't feel good. It's like one day out of the month, it will feel so good that you forgot all the other days that you struggled, you know? But that's the way it is. It's not supposed to be a feel-good thing all the time. But when it doesn't feel good, it's likely that your day will feel better. So even if you're having a bad meditation, the fact you went through it and you have an accomplishment will start your day already with a sense of accomplishment. And this is very common and same with your yoga practice, right? If you don't do your practice, you'll be all day like, you know, just not right. And you're starting with a with I failed mentality. So, um, so when to meditate is another typical question, and it's different for everybody, and it will change from time to time. But bookending is a great um, form of deciding when to meditate. So if you can bookend um, your day, or you can bookend a situation with short and short, or a week, you know, a Monday through Friday, whatever it is that you can bookend is um, a good way of seeing how to meditate. In other words, it's better to do two that are related than to do one that is open-ended. So if you're doing, for example, every morning for 5 minutes, then that morning practice is one book, and the next morning practice is the next book, and there's always a pair moving through. Yeah, to do one session of meditation or one retreat very intense meditation, and then don't do it, is not good, because you will lose the energy of that. It's better to do smaller ones and consistent, um, than a long one inconsistent. It doesn't mean that long meditations are not good. Actually, they are very good, but it's better to have these little ones. Sometimes when we do a long session of meditation, 15 minutes were very good, and then the rest becomes kind of like just trying to run the clock, you know. So then, what's the point? Just keep it at 15 minutes. Don't try to run the clock, because that's not helpful, right? Um, or or if you really want to go to the beach on a Saturday, but you think, oh, I gotta meditate, and then you decide that you're going to not go to the beach, you're going to do your meditation retreat of, the whole morning or whatever. And all through your meditation, you're thinking about the beach, then you might as well go to the beach. Why stay here if your mind's going to be there, right? So you have to see when you're forcing it, uh, and have a little sense of humor with that. Now, there's two extremes of mind: very wild and very laid back. So they call it dullness and bewilderment. So kind of like the two ranges. And somewhere in the middle is the good spot, the range to stay within, right? So if your mind is super relaxed, you're almost not present, you're almost detached from the world, that also is not sustainable. And it's not the purpose. The purpose is to be connected, to be one with everybody, to be kind, to to relate to the world. So you can see that many of the masters go on the mountains and caves, and they meditate for years and so forth. But then at some point, they come out to the world,
Carlos, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, anytime.
Well, I already interrupted you, I guess, but so you said like the purpose is to be like, sorry for the motorcycles. So you said part of the purpose is to be one with everything, right? And I read a lot about that, just the oneness. And I think when you find like the oneness, then it's like there's no separation, and separation, I've often read, like leads to suffering, not the good suffering, maybe, I don't know. But so I wanted to just hear a little bit your thoughts on what oneness and what being one with everything means. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'll say what it's not, because one is exactly going beyond concept. So when we try to conceptualize oneness, we usually make it into something that is not it. But one of the things is that there's no attachment to ego. So the self still there, but there's no attachment to it. So there's no difference between things. Yeah, they call it also one mind, you know. But usually people call it one mind, and it's my mind and all the other good minds, but not Donald Trump's mind, you know. It's not like that. It's, you know, one mind is if everybody was able to go beyond thoughts and concepts, what we would be left with is that oneness, which is beyond one, you know. So that's one is beyond oneself. It's a little bit abstract, but you know, non-duality, there's no good and bad, there's no pretty and ugly, you know. Those are all concepts that lead to suffering. So going beyond those conceptualizations is about being enlightened, you know, which is another word for oneness.
You were talking about the monks going into the cave. That's where I cut you off. But thank you for answering that.
Sure. Yeah, the monks going into a cave is like going to the gym, right? We go to the gym to work out, and then we have energy throughout the day, and we don't have a bad back because we have a stronger back, and so it's like training to go out into the world. So sometimes somebody would need 1 hour a day. Some people would need 3 years. So whichever is your need is what you would do. And again, it changes with time. The Dalai Lama says that kindness and compassion is all you need. And I think he's right, you know. When you are kind, when you are taking care of other beings, yourself disappears. And there's a sense of oneness with other beings that comes up. And that experience is the whole point. But then very soon, me comes up again, right? And takes me away. And but there's also another what do you call this, myth, which is that I should take care of everybody and that you don't take care of yourself, right? So right now there's a big movement of kindness towards oneself. You can see it in many teachers talking about it, because I think we went very far. We were very materialistic. And so the push was to go all the way and don't take care of yourself. But now where we are is that we've gone a little bit too much to that extreme. So we want to come back and include oneself into the group of people who you're taking care of without getting attached to. A lot of times, you know, you might hear me say, look at yourself, or look at your body, or look at your breath. You know, in a way, I'm trying to disassociate with like looking at myself as a different person. And that helps to be compassionate towards yourself. Um, so I was saying about the bewildered and dull mind. And I wanted to say some antidotes for that. So when the mind is crazy and you're having a very difficult time focusing, it's it helps if you can put more things to help you focus. So, for example, counting the breath while looking at the breath. We've been doing this. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Technique where you're saying that to yourself. That's a way to focus your mind and bring it to connect with your breath. Another way is to just count one breath, two breaths. You're counting to yourself, but this is helpful. Um, you also might have heard mantras. Mantras also have that purpose. Of course, they're good words and positive words, but they also, in meditation environment, it is a great way to bring the mind to the present moment, because you're using more than one sense. So you're having your speech and your mind connecting. So if you can bring speech, mind, and body, that's a perfect, because then you're fully present. And when you have and also looking down is better than looking up. When you have a very spacious mind, like you kind of falling asleep, it's good to open the eyes and look up and open your gaze so you have like a wide angle. So you're not looking at something specifically, but you're forcing your attention to be in the moment, in the space, and not focus on anything, but keeping your eyes almost open in that direction. And you're holding an awareness that is wide and awake. So that, and also to lean forward. When you lean back, you will have a little bit of a dullness mind. But also, if you have a wild mind, it's good to lean back a little bit. Not completely, but just lean back a little bit. So finding to use the body as a way to balance, using the gaze, using your senses, you start to work with whatever state of mind you have in that moment, so you can bring it to be present. And then I just want to say something else about, there's a lot of buzz around mindfulness and mindfulness practice. So I want to say something about it. Most mindfulness teachers come from a Buddhist environment or a Buddhist background or some sort of contemplative tradition. So mindfulness focuses on bringing your attention to your senses. So to be present with what you hear, to be present with all your body parts, to be able to move your mind through your body, scanning and feeling each part is part of the the technique, right? And then you start to open it to, feel sounds and taste and color and shapes. And you use these techniques so that you can walk anywhere and be fully present. So that's what being mindful is being fully present. And so it's used a lot now on work environment or on um, social interactions where like a nurse would use it very much, or a social worker, uh, because it brings you to be present with what's happening and what the other person is trying to communicate, and it takes you out of listening and getting ready to interact, which is very common on most of us. You know, if you're listening but you're ready to to share how you relate to that or something like that. So it's about being fully present and listening um, to what's going on. So yeah. Did I run out of time?
No, I mean, I think the time is as long as everyone wants to stay on, and is as much time as you have as
Well,
well.
what, I'd love to hear questions because I can keep on talking forever, but I think questions will be more helpful. And if there are questions about your own, that's great.
Um, I have a question. So, is there a time that we should limit ourselves to meditating, or you can stop during the day when you are overwhelmed with feelings and just find a peaceful place and meditate? Or should as practitioners are we conditioned to meditate maybe during at the beginning of our day or at the end of our day or before a practice?
I think I got it, Victor. So you said something about a peaceful place. I want to say that's very important to create a habit. So there's different stages, right? So there's a stage where you're trying to create a habit, and for that, having a place is very important. So having a particular place in your house that you are designating as your meditation corner or your meditation space is very important. And to make it uplifted, it could be in front of a window. It doesn't have to be, a shrine or anything like that, but it should be uplifting and feel good for yourself. Sometimes you can put a flower, or you can put a candle, or you can light incense, whatever makes it uplifting for you, so that when you walk into your space, you know that you're walking to meditate. And something incredible happens, that the mind gets used to that. Whenever you're entering into that space, the mind gets kicked into, we're going to meditate. So unconsciously, your mind switches into the habit that is adopting. Yeah. In the same way you would stop smoking, or you would stop doing anything, that you have a habit that you need to change. They say change places and things, right? So if there's a particular place that you're habituated for smoking or for drinking, or there's a particular person, you try to cut that out so that the habit doesn't kick in. In the same way, having a space for this new habit is very important, and making the space very uplifting. So that time of the day is not so important. Each person is different. I find that doing it in the morning is good because I have a lot of dreams, and usually my dreams are um, don't have a happy ending. So when I wake up, I'm still in that state of like a conflict. And so for me, settling in the morning is very important. Um, and then at night, it's good for me to review my day, kind of have run a scan and see what activities in the day I lost it, so that I can make an aspiration that the next time I encounter this person or the same situation, I would try to be more mindful. Yeah. So in the evening, I like to bring awareness to what things happen in the day. And in the morning, I like to bring preparation for the day. So between those two, you know, then my every day becomes my practice, right? Um, and about duration of the sessions, I think I was saying this, it's better to do one good 15 minutes than to do one whole hour. It's better to do 15 minutes than to do 1 hour. So if you do 15 minutes and then you do a stretch and then you start again 15 more minutes, your meditation will be a lot fresher and more sustainable. Yeah. But of course, if you are used to doing 1 hour, then do 1 hour. Um, so that's it.
Thank you.
Hey, Carlos,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to go. There's so many questions I want to talk to you about. I could spend hours talking to you, but my son is protesting. He's like, I want food. So I have to go and cook his supper. But I was wondering, would it be possible to maybe share or to email some of the tips? You've given such useful like tips that you wouldn't, that I certainly didn't think of, like widening the gaze if you're getting distracted, or shifting position, or doing 5 minutes or 15 minutes instead of an hour. Those insights were really useful to me.
That's a good idea.
And it would be wonderful if um, if we could share them or have them on some format to as a reference guide.
That's a great idea, Tara. Will do.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Sorry, I would love to say there's so much.
Good night. Don't worry. Good night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And, to everyone, I've told Francisco this, and I tell everybody now, so you know, if you feel that you want to connect around your practice, it's just, plan and schedule it. If you want to go deeper and have like a personal practice instructor that is going to work with you throughout, we can also do that. And, we can, again, with Francisco, we can figure what that would look like.
Yeah.
But just don't feel like, we're all accessible all the time.
Yeah, I think that's something we were talking about with Carlos, is if people want just private sessions to have one-on-one guidance and information with Carlitos, we can set that up. Just let me know. I have one question, Carlos. So yeah, just let me know about that. That's important, just letting you guys know. And then you mentioned earlier that our culture has kind of gone from like not like the concept of giving and supporting to then giving to a fault, and that we kind of like end up hurting ourselves. And now we're going into this space of communicating about self-care. And you know, I'm kind of talking a little bit, I've gone through it, like traveling, being a sensitive person, and I feel what a lot of people going through. So I want to kind of do all these things. And part of it is like a struggle with the ego too. It's like, I want to contribute to the world and do these things. And then I'm like, oh, my body hurts a little bit, you know? And then I also think about current times, like, you know, my friend Kate, who's on the line, and she's a nurse, and she's, you know, working really hard, and, you know, and then she's like, I'm like, jump in this meditation workshop, you know? So, you know, what are, you know, obviously there's signs that we need to listen to. Um, and you know, and it's like all of us we want to be involved like physically and kind of like with our energy. And sometimes there's, yes, a sense of, you know, you're a friend of mine, I had this conversation with him a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, you're not really giving. If you're hurting yourself, that's not giving, you know? So you have to find that balance point, you know? So if you have any tips about that, I mean, I guess it's probably pretty obvious, but you mentioned it, so I was wondering if you had any tips or anything to say about it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds, Francisco, like you are very aware about your mechanisms. And so I'd say we all have our own tendencies, our habitual patterns. Um, so making friends with them is very important. So not making it be noticing when you feel shame, when you're shamed by your own your own self, you know, when you're like, or guilty, yeah, um, because remorse is great because you will take some action, but guilt and shame are, they don't make anything,
Right.
you know. Um, so paying attention to guilt and shame, and then realizing, oh, there's my friend. This is my pattern, you know? And you can just almost like, dude, you know, uh, you know, I need to, and then that's also a good sign for you to get knowledge and insight, you know? So I don't think it's something to discard, but it's something to make friends with, so you can transform that relationship.
Gotcha.
And I tend to do it a lot. And there's slogans that you can repeat to yourself, you know, like, can't give what you don't have, and things like that. You know, there's a million of those phrases that are being used now. Um, but you can tell when you're not able to give as much as you want to give because you're depleted. Or when you're giving and you feel like, I should give more, and the should comes in, you know, I should be able to do this, you know. So those are usually signs that you're depleting and that you're not looking at yourself. So observe for the shoulds, observe for the guilt and the shame, and they're all related, you know, should, gain, you know, they're all related. They're all part of the same quality. Yeah.
Thank you. I have a lot of questions, but I really would love for everyone else, if you guys have any questions for Carlos, or I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Was that Lisa? Or no?
Emily.
It was just me supporting you, Francisco.
Oh, gotcha. Right on. Yeah, if Carlos, so from your work, you know, I think you've been working with like the Rinpoche and these monks for a very long time, right? Um, I feel, you know, I'm kind of enchanted. I visit a lot of like Buddhist temples where in my travels, like Thai massage comes from, you know, this practice of metta and karuna concepts of meditation. What, I guess, if you were to like say, you know, when you're around them, you kind of probably feel like a really sweet vibration, you know, um, like good energy, like probably lifts you up. I know when I'm around my teachers, my energy kind of lifts up. And I think part of it is because um, I see in them something that is high in me as well. You know what I mean? Um, what have you, if you were to say like a couple of things really simple that you would say that you have really appreciated from them or learned from them in observing how they move in their day-to-day life? You know, just something kind of, couple of little things if you don't mind sharing.
Sure, sure. I think overall, most a good teacher will shoot your ego in the heart. You know, um, it will. It's not somebody that will encourage your ego to flourish. So sometimes when what I notice is that I would get very wakeful, and that feels great. But at some point, my wakeful will become ego, pride, and at some point, the teacher will pull the rug from you on that, and it won't feel good. But it will be like you've been revealed, you know. um, so, you know, I had this trip that I took with my teacher to India. We went on a pilgrimage to do a retreat with Dalai Lama in Dharamsala in northern India. And so we went on the bus and the whole thing, and you know, it's a big deal, right? And I was going to connect with my teacher for a long period of time, and I hopped in the bus. My teacher is there, and he didn't talk to me all through the trip. He would address everybody, hug everybody, and me, nothing. And I could feel this crazy mind saying like,
did you shower that morning or no?
huh?
Did you shower that morning? I'm just kidding.
No, it lasted the whole trip.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the whole trip. And it got to a point where it was very obvious.
Yeah.
He would walk through the bus,
And avoid.
I would be sitting with somebody, and he would talk to this person, and not to me.
Wow.
You know, and I realized that the whole trip was a very profound teaching. You know, because I could not hide my big ego through it, and so at the end I was grateful, not comfortable but grateful. So I think that the teachers, if they're a good teacher, they might not make you feel good all the time, but they will be giving you medicine.
Nice.
No?
Yeah.
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 Wonderful. You're giving a lot of clarity, Carlos, the way you talk about things. I've been making notes, so if you don't remember what you're gonna write down for us later, I can just give you mine for sure.
That's great, Emily. I take you on that.
Taking notes. I'm always the kind of secretary in meetings in my own surroundings. Anyways, I'm thinking a little bit about something that we haven't talked about, so I don't know if you're interested in that, but it's about what Francisco was saying a little bit about visualizing and healing the body, because I tried that a little bit, and because I'm working with pain in my body, it's kind of inflammation pain, and I'm not sure where I got it from, but I worked in the restaurant business for 15 years, you know, unevenly carrying things. But I also think it's very psychological and trauma related. And I tried many other things like stretching more, strengthening more, acupuncture, a lot of more like active actions. But when I do the stillness and the active, more relaxation kind of meditation, I really feel a shift in a deeper way. So I would love to learn more about that if you have any suggestions or, yeah.
Yeah. Well, notice if there's a shoot on your relationship to your body. There might not be, but just first thought that comes to mind is sometimes I feel my body should, and not every body is the way we want them to be all the time. And when it's been very generous with you for a while, we get very used to like the painting. So sometimes not feeling great is a necessary part of the journey for it to feel better. So recognizing some of that, and it's here you go back to giving it kindness. You know, don't you know. It's like if it was somebody else's body that was going through that, you know, you wouldn't tell the person, "Get up, you should do it." You know, you would say, "Mom, calm down. This is a sign that you need to take care of yourself," right? You would like give some hot tea and you know, put some relaxing music, and you know. So it sounds to me that when you do that, you feel a little bit better. So I would just, and I'm not sure, you know, this is just my first thoughts. But when it comes to like doing mantras and visualizations, Carrie was talking about it, you know, like aligning the chakras. That's a very powerful healing practice, you know, and sound is very helpful for that. But you also have, I like to work with crystals, you know, and crystals have also a very powerful energy, and different quartz are for different chakras. So for example, if you have a set of the 7 crystals, you can always, if you feel a particular chakra that is out of bounds, you know, you can put a crystal there and just meditate on that body part, and connecting it with a crystal is really helpful.
Question about that.
Yeah.
Like there's different crystals for different chakras that resonate more. Is there something you could, you know, maybe like expand on that, or if you have information on that, or?
Well, that's a whole talk.
Okay, forget it. Well, forget I said that.
I want to know too. Come on.
Carrie, you know about it, so you know that what I'm talking about.
Another Saturday workshop. Okay.
Yeah, talking about the chakras and the crystals and the energy. I mean, you're talking about the subtle body.
Yeah, you know what? I think maybe you and Carrie can do a workshop together on that one day if you want. You know.
Yeah, maybe Carrie.
Yeah, I could definitely talk about the sound and the chakras. I know a little bit about crystals. I have a book. I haven't really practiced with the crystals, but the sound most definitely, and using sound to clear the chakras and balance. And
Okay, let's do that, Carrie. Maybe like next weekend, Salim was gonna do one on hip openers.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do the next one on sound
Okay.
healing.
Yeah, let me look at my calendar to make sure, and then I'll give you a weekend.
Yeah, right on.
It'll be the next few.
Yeah, sorry, Carlitos. Sorry to kind of take you out of your train of thought.
No. But that's great. Now we know we have an area of interest.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So crystals, you were saying.
Yeah. So that's one way of working with the body directly. There's also herbs and magnetic fields. And I like to try all that is holistic. Rather than stretching too much, I rather, hold it warm and kind, and let it become more flexible on its own. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very supportive. I'm kind of another. I put in my mind in a different mindset, another mindset for now, and it helps a lot. So that's really encouraging me to continue that. Thank you, Carlos.
Hi, thank you, Carlos, and for the session. It was really helpful. We're going to step up, and thank you, Francisca, and for everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you for a great presentation yesterday, man.
Yeah, so
Oh,
inspiring.
thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. We'll see you. We'll see you
Bye.
later. And
Yeah.
Victor, Tuesday we have a call with the dance and breakdancing school in Peru.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Ah, super.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call you later so we kind of prepare for that because yeah, we'll talk later, bro. Okay.
Yeah,
And
I was to tell you that.
Also, Victor, I do want to say that I'll be working with my friends this week. I work with them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That I'm going to be reaching out to them to ask for $25 a piece so we can start donating more to your fund to make sure that we hit that number to feed the families there.
All right. Thank you very much, and
Yeah, I want to make sure that we donate more, make sure we take care of our people. Definitely.
thank you very much.
Thank
Much
you for all your
appreciated.
work. No doubt. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
See you later,
All
bro.
right. Peace.
Peace.
All right. See you later.
Peace.
Peace.
So everyone, maybe just as a way to conclude, to close the session, we can just go back to a nice, comfortable posture. Close your eyes. Connect to the heart of kindness, maybe gratitude. Recognize that very few people in the world right now have the conditions that allows us to look more profound. Recognize that we have a good condition. We have a roof, we have food, we have enough that we can go deeper. recognize that that's not the case in the majority in the world. Most people are in war, poverty, gun violence, prison, injustice, and all sorts of sufferings. So whatever we are able to learn and practice, it's dedicated to them so that they can have the right causes and conditions so that they can search for the real happiness within them. May they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be healthy. May they live at ease. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Carlos. And
Thank you, Carlos.
just so you guys know, the recordings, what we're doing is from the workshops and the sanghas, like we're putting them on the blog section of the website. That way people can go into the blog and listen to the recordings. Maybe like we'll probably put down some notes, probably get some of Emily's notes and put them up. And if you guys have questions, you can also correspond directly through like each theme, you know, you can kind of write to it right there. Just trying to make things as easy as possible for people to connect, and I think that'll probably help because it's the blog's pretty interactive.
Okay.
Thank you. Emily, do send me your notes.
I can send you notes. So I didn't write it all down. Sorry if I promised too much, but a lot of things for sure.
No, just bullet point is good. All right, guys and girls, and little girls.
Carlos.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Carlos.
Appreciate you all.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.